Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new session of our online interview series. We want to talk to Banyan Gold, and CEO Tara Christie is here with us because we met the last time at the Zurich Invest Night last November. And now, of course, we want to do a lovely interview. Tara, good morning to Canada. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. It's great to be back on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking the time. And as I always love to say, finally a woman. That's great. Women in mining, I love that. Now, really, way too many men, that's for sure. But this is fantastic. And I must say, chapeau, chapeau. You guys did an outstanding job with Banyan. I have been 2 times a shareholder of your company, traded it a little bit, but honestly, I have to go into the stock again now because my feeling is at 40 cents. That's still way too cheap. If I look at 10th January and 18th January, you had fantastic drill news. I'm sure you want to comment on that a bit.
So we had a great drill year. Last year, we drilled 50,000 meters, and we still have 60 holes pending from last year, and we drilled to December, so they aren't really that late. Those results continue to show that, one, we have some higher grade areas, 84 meters of 1.14 rate from surface. And then the second press release, the 2 kilometer step out, that really shows that the system is amazingly consistent. We've now, with drilling, shown that there's 5 kilometers of strike length between power line and that furthest 2 kilometer step out. And remember, we have a 4 million ounce resource, inferred resource. 3 million of that alone is in power line, and the strike of that power line resource east-west is 1.2 kilometers. So 5 kilometers of strike, if it continues to be as consistent as we're seeing with the similar grades, that's a lot of ounces. It really shows the growth potential here. We've been telling the market and our shareholders, we think we have a tier 1 asset here, which, for the majors is something plus 5 million ounces with considerable blue sky to maybe an order of magnitude beyond that. We're pretty excited about what we have and what we've delivered and what the geology is showing us is potentially here.
Fantastic. I mean, you have also prominent neighbor, Victoria Gold. We come to that in a second. But it looks to me a little bit like the start of Victoria Gold in the former years. And it's all very close to surface or at surface. So that means everything would be open pittable probably in the future. And how can I say that? It is like with such a resource you have already, what would be the next step to really bring that resource up that we can say, okay, it's not inferred, it's measured and indicated, and let's put it that way, to make it really attractive for a real mine project to build a mine?
So that's one step, that strip ratio that you mentioned. Remember, power line strip ratio 0.34 to 1. Victoria Gold's low strip ratio 0.95 to 1. Most people are 3 to 4 to 1 strip ratio. So that's exceptional. As we're moving it towards a development project, that's where our head is starting to go because we are getting to that scale. So we're looking at the other engineering aspects, the geotechnical, the metallurgy. We've just hired a very experienced engineer who's going to be our owner's rep, managing that, helping me manage the baseline environmental program, which we need to go to permitting. And we're not quite ready to convert to measured and indicated yet. We did drill one area at 25 meter spacing, so we have an understanding. And we're really pleased with what we saw there in terms of grade and ounces. Sometimes when people drill it off, they lose ounces in grade. We saw the opposite in that area. But again, we have such huge exploration potential. We're looking at some of the targets which are a little bit more distal from the infrastructure and where strip ratio might be even better. We need to catch up on metallurgy. Most people have 10 years to get to a 4 million ounce resource. We did it in 2. So yep, we're catching up on that now because that's not a process that's fast. But I think we've got the right team. We're putting in a really robust program for this year so that we can show the market that this is a project. And of course, we have Victoria Gold just down the road, and they've got a heap leach project. They've got same age, similar mineralization. They're leaching some of their meta sediments, which is similar to ours. But we need to have the actual science to back that up. So we're getting that in place. We're starting drilling next week. So I'm super excited. We're opening our camp middle of February. And winter is just so optimal for us to drill when there's snow cover because it's less environmentally damaging. There's areas where we can get to cheaper and easier than in the summer. So we're taking advantage of that. And we plan to actually have 4 drills turning in early March. So look for lots of news flow from us. We have a prep lab in on our site now, which we should do with Victoria Gold, which will get our timelines down. So it's going to be, we can add a lot of value this year. We're pretty excited. And you mentioned that financing, that's put us in good stead. We started this year with $19 million. So we've been able to get our head into our planning and our geology, build our team, and we're firing on all cylinders for 2023.
I love to hear that. That's fantastic. Firing on all cylinders is always fantastic. And as you said, you still have a lot of holes, 60 holes you said you still have pending. So that's really a lot. And I think your infrastructure is also fantastic. Have I read that correct in your presentation? You have even mobile reception and highways going
bars on the
nearby.
cell phones, pretty good. Yep,
That's amazing.
the power line from the hydroelectric dam, which is only 50 kilometers away, the dam. The power line goes right through our property across the power line deposit. That's why we called it that. We made the discovery right beneath the power line. Cell phone service, there's even fiber optic cable which goes out along the line to Victoria Gold substation. So huge advantages in having power already on the property. We need 50 meters of power line to get connected to our camp. Not, most people talk in kilometers that they need of line. That's a huge advantage. And green power right to a hydro dam. That infrastructure is absolutely exceptional. Year-round, maintain roads, a main highway, lots of existing roads on the property. I think that is really important for us, keeping our costs down in exploration, but it's even more important when you look at the capital costs for potential development.
Okay, so as I saw, Victoria Gold is bidding for ATEC resources or has done a takeover bid. So that's, if I look at the map in your presentation, that's more to the right a little bit. And if I look at ORMEC, that's just a little bit downwards. So maybe what is the next logical step?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that this is Canada's newest mining district, Victoria Gold. Kind of when you look at the history of Red Lake, one mine gets started. The best place to explore is in the headframe of other mines. This Tombstone intrusive belt is very prolific. It goes all the way over to Kinross and all the way over to Snowline. We are so lucky that we've had one mine that's managed to get up and running because that's what sets the stage. So and I think we're seeing M&A in the sector generally with, B2 with Seabridge, Victoria Gold with Attack, and it's all about valuations and opportunistic companies. Yes, that is a logical potential combination at some point in the future. I have to look out for my shareholders and what's the best decision for my shareholders. I know I can add lots of value in the next years if I have that long. But that's Victoria. When they get cash flowing, they will be looking for other projects, as they've done with Attack, to potentially, get them increased mine life and add to their inventory. But then there's going to be people looking at the whole district. Some of the larger companies will look at, consolidation of a district, and is there a place where they can find a significant resources that could be very long-lived, which is what all of the mining companies have, depleting resources and reserves. They need to start getting serious about that, and it's been a long, bleak time for resource companies. So I'm hopeful that this is the start of us starting to see people get better valuations, begin to develop some of these camps. And I'm a big believer in this Tombstone intrusive belt. I think we've made our discovery in 2019. Have we fully explored our property?
No.
Absolutely not. We have lots of area. Less than 5% of our ORMAC block proper has really had decent exploration. We got a lot of work to do, and we want to make sure that we don't leave ounces on the table for our shareholders. Got to get out there and do some more exploration.
Fantastic. Well, that sounds great. You mentioned also you have $19 million in the bank. And if I look at your shareholders, your shareholders distribution, I would call it, in your presentation. I mean, you have Franklin Gold and Precious Metals. You have Osisko Development. How did you come on that? And Victoria Gold is already 11.3% shareholder. So that looks quite prominent.
Yeah, we've worked really hard on getting good shareholders over the last few years. That financing in December was only 3 shareholders. So, in total, we have 47% high net worth individuals and funds or institutional, which, is really important because they've made their investments in the last few years and have that 2 to 3 year time horizon and actually understand how these projects evolve. Victoria Gold at 11% is terrific. They've got a toehold, but it's not such a big stake that it's blocking for somebody else that might look at us. A Cisco development, well, that's Sean Rusin, back when it was actually a Cisco Royalties that made the equity investment. And I think I went to him, I said, Sean, I'd like $400,000. And he said, didn't you forget a zero? Nobody asks me for less than $1 million. Anyway, and so they made their investment. And then, it got spun out into a Cisco development. So that's purely an equity investment. And they participated pro rata and were there to support us through those difficult times to finance. So great to have them in. They certainly know mining projects and development.
Fantastic. Super. So that sounds like you have a very busy 2023 in front of you. Lots of news are coming up. I keep fingers crossed. And please keep us posted because it looks really, really interesting, your project and your company, of course.
Well, and I'm a big personal shareholder, which I'm the third CEO, so I've had to buy my position in the market. So that's one thing I can tell shareholders is I'm very aligned with my shareholders. So lots of value to deliver, and hopefully you'll become a shareholder again. So
I will be. Thank you very much, Tara. All the best and talk soon to you. Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Banyan Gold's Tara Christie, the CEO. Yeah, you heard it, a great exploration story out of the Yukon, next, only 30 kilometers away, next to Victoria Gold. And don't forget, Victoria Gold is now taken over ATEC Resources, which is quite close. Banyan Gold is also quite close. It would be a logical step, but probably within the next 2 or 3 years. Not now, please. That is too early because Tara wants to create some more shareholder value, and I really can understand it. But the drills restart to turn very, very soon. Here in February, they open up the camp. And don't forget, 60 holes are still pending. So there will be a lot of news flow, and I have a very good feeling that we will see a lot of more drill results. Check out Banyan Gold. Honestly, I really have to buy some. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.